Update 2. At my brother's engagement party, he raised his glass and said, "To family and to those who finally learn how to be quiet and useful." Everyone laughed. I just smiled, lifted my glass, and said, "To quiet usefulness and to the $8,000 venue deposit I just canceled." The music cut mid-song. His fiancée choked on her drink. My aunt whispered, "Wait, what did he say?" I took a sip and replied. That night, I dug out the documents for the car I bought my parents, a black SUV I'd paid in full 3 years ago when my dad's old one died. It was registered in my name. I never transferred the title because I didn't think it mattered. But now it did. If I was done being their fallback plan, I had to start reclaiming the things they treated like entitlements. And deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Not even close. But I was finally ready to find out how ugly it would get when the money stopped coming and the respect had to stand on its own. I gave them 4 days. 4 days without responding, without showing up, without giving them the satisfaction of thinking I was having second thoughts. And on the 5th day, I got the text from Brian that told me exactly what I needed to know. "Fine, you've made your point. Can we move on now?" No apology, no responsibility, just a request to return to the status quo like none of it had happened. That same afternoon, I called my insurance company and told them to take the black SUV off my parents' policy and reassign it under mine again. When they asked if I wanted to keep the same address, I gave them a different one, a storage facility not far from me, where I'd already arranged a covered space. By the next morning, I was at my parents' house with a spare key and a tow truck. My mom answered the door in her robe. My dad wasn't home, probably at the golf course or pretending to look for work again. I told her straight, I was taking the car. She said that was ridiculous, that I couldn't just take something I had gifted to them. I reminded her that it was still in my name, that I was still paying for the insurance, and that I was done giving things to people who thought they were entitled to them. She called me cruel, told me it was unnecessary, that I was embarrassing the family. I didn't say much, just signed the release form and watched the tow truck pull out of their driveway with the SUV behind it. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel angry. I just felt clean, like something heavy had finally been peeled off my back. That night, the group text started blowing up. First, my Aunt Diane sent one calling me dictatorial. Then my cousin jumped in saying I was breaking the family apart over a stupid joke. Brian finally chimed in and told everyone to let it go, but followed that with, "I'm still out of a venue and a photographer, so thanks a lot, Jack." My dad never texted, but I heard through Rick that he was furious, said I humiliated him, that I was out of control. The only message that didn't make me roll my eyes came from Rachel. Surprisingly, it was short. "We didn't realize how much you were doing until you stopped." That's honest. It didn't fix anything, but it was the first honest thing anyone besides Rick had said since the whole thing blew up. Rick called me again later that week. Said I'd started something that couldn't be undone. He wasn't mad about it. In fact, he sounded almost relieved, like someone had finally shattered the fake smiles and guilt-laced favors that had kept the family floating. He said Diane was furious with him, too, that she accused him of choosing sides, but he told her, "No, I'm choosing reality." I asked him how long he thought the storm would last. He laughed, said, "Until they find someone else to milk, or until they realize the money is not the real problem. It's the entitlement." By the end of the week, Rachel's dad emailed me again, this time with numbers. He wanted partial compensation for the party being cancelled. He even included a little spreadsheet with projected costs and losses. I forwarded it to Rick. Rick replied with 4 words, "Tell him to sue." I didn't answer the email. I didn't owe him anything, and I wasn't going to pretend I did. For once, I wasn't reacting. I was choosing what I let into my life, choosing what I supported. And for the first time, that didn't include them. The next surprise came on a Wednesday afternoon. I just wrapped up a long client call and stepped away from my desk to grab lunch when I saw a thick envelope jammed into my mailbox. No return address, just my name handwritten across the front. Inside was a personal check made out to me for $8,000. There was a note, too. No greeting, no signature. Just 6 words scribbled on a torn piece of notebook paper: "Be the bigger man. Fix this." I stared at it for a solid minute, almost waiting for it to make more sense. The handwriting looked familiar, stiff, all caps, like someone who rarely wrote by hand. It was Rachel's dad. Had to be. I didn't deposit the check. I didn't even rip it up. I just left it on my kitchen counter and stared at it for hours like it might explain itself. At first, I thought it was hush money, a quiet bribe to smooth things over and convince me to be the bigger man, like they said. But the more I thought about it, the more it felt like bait. They wanted me to cash it, not to fix anything, but to own the whole mess. If I took the money, it meant I'd accepted blame, that I'd caused the damage, that everything they said about me being vindictive or petty was true. So the next morning, I mailed it back. No note, no explanation. That weekend, the family met without me. I know because Rick called me afterward and said it was the most passive-aggressive disaster he'd seen in years. My parents were still furious. Brian had started talking about eloping just to move past the drama. And Rachel was apparently in tears the entire time, saying she didn't even know if she wanted to go through with a wedding surrounded by people who couldn't have a conversation without it turning into a financial negotiation. And then came the real twist. That Monday, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't pick up, but something told me to. It was Rachel. She was crying, not in the manipulative stage kind of way, but the quiet kind. Said she needed to talk to someone who wasn't trying to control the outcome, someone who hadn't been lying to her about how much they owed to family image. She told me she'd found out Brian had opened a joint account with her name on it, one she didn't authorize. He'd used it to shuffle money around for wedding expenses, including taking out a short-term loan. Apparently, the $8,000 I canceled had been part of a House of Cards budget he never told anyone about. If she hadn't caught it early, she would have been tied to all of it legally. I didn't say I told you so. I just listened. She asked me if I thought Brian even cared about her or if he was just trying to stage the perfect show for our family. I said I honestly didn't know, but I told her she deserves someone who didn't view love as a line item on a spreadsheet. She thanked me, then hung up. I don't know what she's going to do.